Only 90s kids will remember this. Or if you were born before the 90s and still have recollections of such things. That's just how it works. So in case you didn't know, Rocko's Modern Life was a Nicktoon that aired on Nickelodeon in the mid-90s. It also happens to be one of my favorite shows of all time. A lot of people consider Rocko's Modern Life one of Nickelodeon's best shows, and I think it has a lot to do with the show's main character, Rocko, because he's just an ordinary guy. He's very nice, very polite, he's very relatable, but he lives in a very strange world and is often the victim of modern society. And I think having a very likable, relatable character is important, especially in a strange comedy like this, because he's someone you can root for. And yes, the show was filled with Nickelodeon's signature gross-out humor, which was in pretty much all their shows in the 90s and beyond. But the thing with Rocko is that the gross-out humor was a little bit more spaced out, and a lot of the jokes were a bit more subtle, and things were done with a little bit more finesse than, let's say, Ren and Stimpy, which was just straight up insanity. But yeah, I love Rocko's Modern Life even to this day. It's very clever, it's very funny, and in my opinion, it's the best Nicktoon that Nickelodeon ever produced. I didn't grow up with SpongeBob, sorry. And never in a million years did I ever think Rocko would make a comeback. But in 2015, Nickelodeon announced that they wanted to bring back some of their Nicktoons, and in 2016 it was made official that Rocko's Modern Life would be one of them. However, the project was taking a long time to produce, and a lot of people were wondering what was going on because this was originally supposed to be a TV special, but then they eventually moved it over to Netflix in 2019. And the special picks up pretty much where the TV show left off, with the episode Future Schlock, which the creator of the show, Joe Murray, considers to be the canonical end of the series, even though if you watch the episode it doesn't quite line up properly, which means this is all ruined. I'm just kidding, I'm not going to knock on Rocko's Modern Life for lack of continuity. Anyway, Rocko, Heifer, and Filbert were blasted off into space in Rocko's house, and were stuck there for 20 years until they find the rocket's control button attached to Heifer's butt. Classic Rocko's Modern Life. So they push the button and head back down to Earth. And of course, the status quo of the show was that no matter what happens, even though unintentional, Rocko has to make life miserable for his neighbor, Ed Bighead, who, while the house was coming out of orbit, was doing some calculations at Conglom-O, but he screws it up and it causes Conglom-O to go out of business. But they figure out to save Conglom-O, they have to get their favorite show, The Fatheads, back on air, and that'll help save the company. So they have to go off to find Ralph Bighead, who was voiced by the show's creator, Joe Murray, to bring the show back and help save Conglom-O. And I gotta say, the special looks pretty much exactly like the original show did. And I find that amazing because whenever a comeback is made, they usually change things up a little bit. I mean, even the Hey Arnold movie looked noticeably different from the TV show, but Rocko looks exactly the same. Except, of course, it's now in widescreen, which is great because everything back then was 4:3. But they actually did a really funny bit about that, and I thought that was kind of cool. All the voice actors return as well. Carlos Alazraqui as Rocko is a delight, as always. I love the way he plays that character so much. And then you had Tom Kenny and Mr. Lawrence as Heifer and Filbert. But you know what? I never realized how much I missed Charlie Adler as the Big Heads. And you know, I feel like Charlie Adler is such an underrated voice actor because not only does he have incredible range, but he really knows how to chew scenery. It had the same comedic timing as the original series. There were plenty of gags, lots of references and callbacks. Some were a little bit more subtle than others. A lot of them were very obvious, but I think my favorite one was at the beginning when they were watching the Fatheads in space. They put a VHS in a VCR, and the VHS was orange, which was the color of the VHSs that Nickelodeon used to release back in the day, and I thought that was a really cool nod. The special was also very meta as well. I mean, the plot was about them bringing back an old cartoon that people really liked, so you know they made a lot of in-jokes and a lot of, you know, wink-wink type of comments towards the audience. They also played up the whole nostalgia angle because Rocko was really, really into them bringing back the fatheads, rather. And, you know, a lot of people are always like that. When a show you really like goes off the air, people kind of go crazy and they want it brought back. And I think they played it up very well. I think this whole thing could come off as a bit cynical, but I feel like it is appropriate considering how the original show was. You know, it does fit well with the tone and themes of the original series. And I liked how Rocco was kind of going crazy over bringing back the fatheads, because it does kind of reflect how a lot of people react when an old show goes off the air. They want nothing more than to bring it back. And I also love, and this has always been one of my favorite things, when a cartoon does an episode about making a cartoon, because there's so many things you can do with that. And I think they play that up a lot in this. I think when they were trying to produce the new Fatheads cartoon, I'm pretty sure they used the term soulless and cheap at least once. So, yeah, I think they did a really good job with this. And definitely the big theme of this special is having to deal with change, because there are some people who can deal with it a lot better, like Filbert and Heifer when they returned to Earth and they saw all this new modern technology and stuff like that. They just ate it up immediately. But then there's people like Rocco and Mr. Bighead who have a lot of trouble with stuff like that, and it does kind of put things into perspective. Oh yeah, there is one other thing that I should bring up. It's one of the more infamous things about this special that I'm sure a lot of people have already heard about, but if you've not watched it yet, then I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let me just say, but the thing is, I don't know if Rocko's Modern Life was the best place to do this. I mean, it was something that you'd akin more to, it's great to see a creator put as much love into their creation as they did a long time ago, because as you can tell, you know, it looks and feels exactly the same like the original, but if they do more of it, I really do feel like it'll run thin, and I just don't want that to happen. And it's good to see Nickelodeon appease their older, dedicated fans. You see, this is how it's done. This is how you make people happy. I hope Cartoon Network is paying attention to this. But yeah, they had this, and Invader Zim is next, and you know what? I'm going to be reviewing that next as well. But that's all I got for Rocko's Modern Life. Static Cling is a very dangerous day.